Let's talk briefly. This is an important story. The Senate has voted to allow the FBI to look at your browsing history without a warrant. And I'll read briefly from this report in Vice. The U.S. Senate has voted to give law enforcement agencies access to web browsing data without a warrant, dramatically expanding the government's surveillance powers in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic. The power grab was led by Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell as part of a reauthorization of the Patriot Act, which gives federal agencies broad domestic surveillance powers. Senators Ron Wyden, Democrat of Oregon, and Steve Daines, Republican of Montana, attempted to remove the expanded powers from the bill with a bipartisan amendment, but in a shocking upset, the privacy-preserving amendment fell short by one vote after several senators who would have voted yes failed to show up to the session, including Bernie Sanders, and 9 Democratic senators voted no, causing the amendment to fall short of the 60-vote threshold. And I'll just say this. One, I don't know why Bernie didn't show up. Obviously, I think that, I'm sure in his case, there's a good reason. I both give Bernie more deference as a politician, and this is also why he is sometimes going to be held to a higher standard. And this is absolutely disgraceful and disastrous that this wasn't taken care of and he wasn't there. And this, by the way, is also different. It's different from people who were trying to hold him for a different standard on the CARES Act, which of course was an absolute disaster. But the truth was that this was going to get passed. This was going to get muscled through. And the only thing that he could really do was try to insert in some decent provisions, which he did on temp workers and on unemployment benefits.
Which people have been freaking out about since. Like, right. I've seen these stories about people getting too much because of Bernie. I mean, it's
absolutely. Yeah. No, and that's ridiculous. So, on something where he's either going to be held to a completely different standard, I'll push back, and then obviously, note all that he has done that is positive. This is totally unacceptable. And I don't want to get lost in a conversation about a particular political personality, but this, in terms of something that is so threatening and so dangerous overall, but it's a disaster that he did not vote against this amendment. He says Trump is the most dangerous president all the time. He didn't vote to make sure that, Bill Barr and Donald Trump don't have this capacity. At the same time, let's also, the extraordinary irresponsible F-up of the Sanders office to not vote on this. Well, let's also remind ourselves of Bob Casey, Democrat of Pennsylvania, Carper, Democrat, Tom Carper, Democrat of Delaware, Dianne Feinstein, Democrat of California, Maggie Hassan, Democrat of, I believe, New Hampshire, Tim Kaine in the membrane, everybody, of Virginia, the inspiring selection of Hillary Clinton's vice president, Joe Manchin, Jeanne Shaheen, Mark Warner, Sheldon Whitehouse, and Doug Jones. So this is an obscene, extraordinarily dangerous vote, and serious marks against all of those Democrats. And of course, Mitch McConnell doing his job as the gravedigger of democracy, and the Trump administration. I mean, again, this is where the rubber meets the road. And this is the extension of the national security state, honestly, going really back to Reagan when he reversed some small reforms that Carter had tried to do in light of the Church Commission, all of that. But Bush, Obama, and Trump has been consolidation and expansion, and particularly for people who, recognize, and in some areas, I think accurately, some of the unique dangers and pathologies of the Trump administration. This is just absolutely unacceptable, profoundly dangerous, and honestly, just don't think we're gonna have to keep track of.
Yeah, so much for limited government, right? Yeah, like.
Oh God, watch! Oh, Jesus Christ! All right, fine, go.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There are 10 things you need to do.
Number 1.
You register to vote and it's on. You post that Hillary sign up on your lawn.
Number 2.
Call some undecideds with your crew. Your cousins in Ohio, maybe try and flip them blue.
Number 3.
Watch Hillary examine the terrain. Watch a campaign.
Why are you doing this to me?
Tim Kaine in the membrane.
Tim Kaine in the brain.
So this
Is
is
Hamilton?
if we play this enough, Donald Trump can win re-election even with a 30% unemployment rate.
Oh my God.
Oh my God,
damn.
these fucking morons. Can you imagine that these are the same people that have conniptions about, DSA people that don't want to campaign for Biden? This is it. Look at your Lena Dunham video. Look, to the extent pop culture products influence any of this stuff, which it's greatly overstated in general. There you go. That is like violently embarrassing. I don't even know how to process that.
It's cringe.
I think more than Hillary dabbing or the hot sauce thing, that's the thing you can play and just watch the chats just go crazy.
Jesus Christ.
I don't know why you're trying to make me blind with rage when we only have 2 days left in the week.
That's Project Mockingbird, basically, right, Matt? Like, Hamilton obsession, like it has to be CIA. Like, 2016 was insane, man. I feel like I need to just go back in time and like
you can link
it.
I mean, look, I don't think he's like literally like a plant. Well,
no,
but I think you can connect Lin-Manuel to the State Department by just saying his father. So that's all I'll say about that.
Occam's razor.
Yeah.
If he's
he's
not a cop,
he's of that milieu. He's
definitely doing cop work